When God called, they listened. These born-again celebrities walked away from mainstream Hollywood to focus on their faith in God. As their faith grew stronger, so did their desire to change their music, their acting choices, their reputations, and the way they carried themselves in their personal lives. Here are 6 celebrities who left Hollywood for God. With his string of hits like You Can't Touch This and flashy wardrobe, MC Hammer reached his peak of fame in the early 1990s. However, challenges with his record label, family tragedies, and the pressure of wealth caused him to have a spiritual crisis. In 1994, he declared bankruptcy with over $13 million in debt. During these struggles, Hammer experienced a religious awakening and considered going into ministry. In the late 1990s, he reinvented himself with the album Family Afari, which had more spiritual, positive lyrics reflecting his newfound devotion to Christ. His star power may have faded, but he continues to use his status to fulfill his calling from God to spread the gospel. While the Destiny's Child singer didn't abandon the music industry entirely, gospel is now her focus, moving back to her church roots. She said in an interview that while some people will do gospel when their career fails, she chose to do it at the height of the popularity of Destiny's Child. I didn't want to do it because it was a fad. I wanted to do it because it's in me. It's in my heart, she said. Stephen Baldwin is the youngest of the Baldwin brothers and isn't shy about speaking about his faith. Throughout the years, he's done several interviews with various media outlets and has discussed his eternal struggle with being a Christian in Hollywood. At one point, on an episode of Nightline, Baldwin shared the life-changing impact that the September 11th attacks had on him and his worldview in general, tracing his finding God back to that point. In 2008, he started working with conservative radio host Kevin McCullough to create and start Baldwin/McCullough Live. The show airs every Saturday and became his new passion. His brothers didn't necessarily follow in his footsteps, but he hasn't allowed that, or the battles of Hollywood, to deter his faith. This popular actor and comedian was on a roll in the mid-90s through the early 2000s, starring in the popular Friday and Rush Hour franchises. However, after doing the film Money Talks, he became a born-again Christian in an effort to grow closer in his relationship with God and chose to stop appearing in such vulgar roles. In recent years, he has let go of foul language, with his stand-up tours being free of profanity. He even declared he wouldn't sign on for any Friday sequels as Smokey because he had become born again. Though he didn't completely disappear from the world of acting, appearing most recently in Air, he is seen very little compared to what we saw at the height of his acting career. The singer, popularly known for the 90s anthem This Is How We Do It, put his music career on pause and began trying to reconnect with his faith with his family after the Lord spoke to him and said he needed to lay that life down. They became members of Victory World Church in Atlanta, and his experience transformed him. Since joining the church, he became a worship minister and released the gospel album, Shake Heaven. Recognized by most as the little boy from 2.5 Men, the child star grew distant from the show once his faith began to transform. In a YouTube clip in 2012, he called the show filth and abandoned the show to work with the World Harvest Outreach Church in Houston. He said later in an interview that while working on the show, he felt like a paid hypocrite, and it was difficult to be part of something that was making light of topics in the world that were problems for many people. Today, he wants to continue to come to light because he knows that's where the healing is. Jim Caviezel, the star of Mel Gibson's 2004 epic, The Passion of the Christ, has made headlines for his determination to live out his Christian faith in an increasingly sexualized Hollywood movie industry. During a love scene with Jennifer Lopez in Angel Eyes, Jim requested that she wore a shirt. Then, in a similar scene alongside Ashley Judd in High Crimes, the successful actor flatly refused to strip off. To live is Christ. To die is gain. Actor Jim Caviezel shares powerful message about persecution. When asked about these incidences, Caviezel responded, "I do love scenes but not ones with gratuitous sex. And it's not just about my wife, although that's important. It's sin, pure and simple. I mean, it's wrong. It's awkward." When asked in a FaithWire interview about what it's like to be a Christian working Hollywood, the actor replied with these staggeringly powerful words, "It's like water all around you and nothing to drink. You know, if you go out to the ocean and you drink the salt water, you'll die." Jim recently starred in the Bible-based movie, The Apostle Paul. Patricia Heaton. Patricia Heaton is a well-known pro-life Christian actress and star of The Middle. Recently, Heaton got into a spat with an atheist who decided to take her on after she posted a faith-filled message to Twitter. On May 4, the actress tweeted, "You come to realize very soon that prayer isn't something you do, it's something that God does that you're open to. And so the more you try to be open to God, surrendered to Him, His life flows into us in prayer." A Carmelite nun, life in the hidden light. John Sharp, an atheist, tweeted back at Heaton, "The idea of God was a way of putting literally the fear of God into people, to make them believe that if they didn't do as they were told by their leaders, bad things would happen. No God, no fear, no power. It's obvious, really." "Maybe dig a little deeper," Heaton replied to Sharp. "Or maybe stop digging," Sharp replied. Heaton threw out the final words saying, "Never stop digging. I say that in 100 years, if Christians are identified as people who do not kill their children or the elderly, we will have done well. Because that's clearly coming." Stanley Hauer was thanks to it Rodraher. Last year, Heaton responded to the report that Iceland has seen nearly 100% of women aborting their children who test positive for Down syndrome through genetic testing by tweeting a clarification of her own. Iceland isn't actually eliminating Down syndrome. They're just killing everybody that has it. Big difference. Carrie Underwood. Wildly successful country singer Carrie Underwood is no stranger to sharing her faith on the public stage. She has written many faith-based songs such as Jesus, Take the Wheel, and Something in the Water. "Check out the lyrics," he said. "I've been where you've been before. Down every hallway's a slamming door. No way out, no one to come and save me, wasting a life that the good Lord gave me. Then somebody said, what I'm saying to you opened my eyes and told me the truth. They said, just a little faith, it'll all get better. So I followed the preacher man down to the river. Couldn't fight back the tears, so I fell on my knees saying, God, if you're there, come and rescue me. Felt love pouring down from above, got washed in the water, washed in the blood." Following her breakout debut acting role in faith-based movie, Soul Surfer, Underwood was quoted as saying, "It's easy to have faith when things are going great and you're on top of the world. I'm winning, I'm selling, I'm on tour, and this is all great. But this story is about having faith when the chips are down and how to deal with that." Denzel Washington, multi-award-winning actor, is a man of steadfast faith and talks regularly about his deep trust in Jesus Christ. In a past interview with Access Hollywood, Washington explained how, as a young man, a woman had prophesied over his life, saying he would bring the gospel message to millions. Unashamed and unafraid, Denzel Washington reveals why it is so difficult to trust that Jesus died for our sins. "She had a prophecy. I'd flunked out of college and I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop, and I could see her in the mirror behind me," Washington recalled, noting that the woman kept staring at him. She said, "You know, young man, you are going to travel the world and speak or preach to millions of people, becoming a world-class actor. Washington clearly has been entrusted with a gift to spread the good news throughout this often godless industry." According to a 2010 Christianity Today article, Washington reads his Bible every morning, chooses roles he can remedy with his faith, and has been a member of West Angeles Church of God in Christ in Los Angeles for more than 3 decades. Actors, musicians, and comedians are all among those who decided that life in Hollywood wasn't for them and needed to make a life-altering change. Celebrities are known for their unusual antics, so leaving the industry because they found God and chose to become a born-again Christian isn't the strangest thing to happen. Let's remember to keep these stars in prayer as they continue their walk with God.